and welcome to Emma's ESL English. So this week we're returning to our very much English learning roots. We've got 2 episodes about grammar and 1 about idioms. Hope it's going to be useful for you. I have written some notes for this because I don't want to mess it up and I was getting really confused. So what happened, you'll know last week we had a writing thing to do. I hope you did something. One of my students did something, which was really, really great. But there was a sentence that she'd written and I knew it didn't quite work, but I didn't know why it didn't quite work. And I had to do a bit of research to get my head around it. So the sentence was, there were few clouds in the sky. And I knew that it sounded better if there were a few clouds in the sky, but I also knew that we can use few without the article. Very confusing. I had myself in knots for a while about that. So I wanted to do some research. So I got my trusty grammar book out, and sure enough, there are some rules. Let me run through the rules for you about the difference between few and a few. It is a small difference. This is definitely a nuanced situation, but there is a difference. So let me run through the rules. Number 1, first thing, we can use a little and a few in very similar ways. So a lot of these rules could also be applied to a little. Number 2, without the article, a, little and few often suggest a more negative meaning. Okay, so that gives us the idea that there's something not right about this thing, whatever we're talking about. Number 3, they give us the idea that there isn't as much as we'd like or we'd expect. So there are a few cookies here, kind of gives the idea that we wanted there to be a lot more cookies, and there aren't, and we're kind of annoyed about that. Okay, number 4, it also influences how much. So few glasses suggest there's not many of something or not enough of something, whereas a few glasses suggest there's some of something. So there's like not enough. There's enough. If we add, this is number 5, if we add quite a few, then we get a lot. There are quite a few glasses means we've got more than enough, possibly too many, right? So let me just go over that again. So if we say there are few glasses, it means there's not enough glasses. If we say there are a few glasses, it means there's probably enough glasses, but there's not a lot of them. And if we say there are quite a few glasses, then it means that there are plenty, there are enough glasses. For sure, there's probably more than enough glasses. How can one little word mean 3 different things? I'm so sorry. English sucks. Okay, so let me look at some examples of the difference here. So we'll go to our original example with the clouds, right? If I say there are a few clouds in the sky, then it means maybe 3 or 4 clouds in the sky. There's not a lot, but there are some. If I say there are few clouds in the sky, no article, it may mean that there are 3 or 4 clouds in the sky. The number may be exactly the same, but what changes is my feeling about that number. So a few clouds is neither good or bad. It's just a description. But few clouds suggests that I wanted or expected more clouds, and I'm kind of a bit annoyed that there aren't as many as I wanted. Which obviously is not how we usually feel about clouds. It's a little bit emotional for clouds, so that's why it sounded a little weird to me, because I was like, why do you feel like that about clouds? Sometimes few can be good. So without an article. There are few others like him. This suggests that he is rare. And often in English, rare is good. So there are few others like him is a bit more of a compliment to say he's kind of rare and special. We could change this to there were a few others like him, which means there are several people very similar, which kind of works for like plants and vegetables, but not so much for people because we're all individuals. If we try there were very few others like him, that then becomes a little bit more similar to the first option. So it gives us the idea that he is rare and special. There are very few. Okay, let me give you one more example. There were a few others to see. In this case, again, we're looking at 3 or 4. We're looking at a number of things to look at. There were very few others to see. In this case, we're looking at the scarcity. There isn't enough. So let's say, for example, that we're talking about houses, right? Maybe we're looking for a new house. There were a few others to see. It means that there are 2 or 3 more houses that we want to look at. There were very few others to see suggests that there are not many options and we are struggling to find anything to look at. If we then say there were few others to see, it's very similar to very few, but it doesn't really work because it's not really something we can feel negative about. So if we say there were few others to see, it just kind of sounds like we forgot the article. So it's similar to the clouds in that way. So I think what we've got to say is it depends on the context, right? If the context suits and works for a feeling of rarity or a feeling of something is bad or negative or we're a bit annoyed about it, then no article totally works. But if something is talking about a number or something that we have no emotional value for, then we need the article. We can also use very, depending on the situation, to explain the situation more. But we don't want to use it without the article because then it sounds weird. Okay? So if there is an emotional value, then we can use no article. But if there is no emotional value and we're just talking about numbers, then we want to make sure we are using a few. Okay, I hope that explains things. It's a little confusing. I know it's a little confusing. Okay, we're going to talk about another one of these tricky things tomorrow. I hope that's helped. Let me know in the comments if you have any more questions about this and I can do more videos, no problem. All right, so you can email me your questions at emmadslenglish@gmail.com. You can put them in the comment section if you're watching on YouTube, or if you go to the blog at www.emmadslenglish.com/blog, you can also put them in comments in there as well. All right, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.